Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for some more Path of Exile. In today's video I'm going to make my post commentary on hours 5 and 6 with my Necromancer. And yeah, we can call it the Necromancer now since we did do the Ascension and we are in Act 5 I believe it is, where we have to do the Innocence fight first of all. Now this was really the first fight where I said, alright, here I do prepare myself a little bit, make sure I've got some enchants, got enough HP, got a couple of good notes such as the big note in the big life wheel that's on the passive skill tree, because this is really the start of a big ramp in my opinion in the difficulty for the game. Luckily my minion build has done really well on this Innocence fight. There's basically a couple of mechanics that he does where he like leaves behind some sort of light sparks that spread out over pretty much the entire field. Very dangerous, right? Catch a couple of those, it does a lot of damage, but pretty much all of that has been absorbed by my minions, which is very good news. Then my burning skeletons took care of the summons that he does between phases very quickly, so sometimes that tends to drag on. If you need a little bit of mana in those phases you can get into trouble yet again. And then there's one mechanic that I just didn't see. He like drops slow moving ball that again does a lot of like small fiery light globes all over the map, also very deadly, a lot of damage, stuff to watch out for, but you know, we didn't even encounter it. My minions basically did too much damage. And yeah, they also like took the slam. There's one big slam that he does and it was just not even aimed at me, which is I guess another advantage of not being the main source of damage. You know, your character yourself is like just moving around like the general and your army has to go after the big bad boss. After that we continue in Act 5, so it already feels like when the first time you'll come across the Innocence fight you'll feel like, alright, this is like really a big fight, a difficult fight. You know, where do we go from here? Well, it turns out that you're pretty much only halfway the act, because you have to double back then as a Kitava has been released and the whole city is now you know, in a bloody mess with all the heretics running around and things like that. So you get a couple more things to do. I kind of like this doubling back. Actually, it doesn't feel like you're retreading everything. It's a little bit more difficult. There are some more annoying mobs there, but then you discover a couple more side passages and you've got to take care of Udella, something like that, another boss that's just sitting in the middle of the map somewhere, but all of that feels quite straightforward and then very rewarding. I would say straightforward after you've done it a couple times, but also very rewarding because a couple of those give you again some extra skill points, which helps you to prepare for, well, you know, that first Kitava fight, which is also pretty risky, pretty difficult. It's like a really big boss with some annoying mechanics, shadow damage I believe a lot of it is, a lot of physical damage, fire damage as well, so you gotta be ready for that fight. I do feel if you can handle Innocence you can handle Kitava as well, but you again have to be aware of those mechanics a little bit and know what you have to avoid. I did this one just going straight forward after doing everything else in the act, and it was pretty easy in my experience here. There's some like annoying patches of shadow damage that Kitava does, but my minions were apparently able to tank that pretty easily, and all I really had to do, because she never really used more than like 2 abilities I think, was just watch out which hand does she raise first. Alright, just go to the other side of the map, and by the time that mechanic was over, my minions had usually gotten her into the next phase. So I think another showcase of how easy the minion build does tend to get you through the content. Now I'm gonna give that warning again, late game this stuff doesn't work like that anymore, and in fact after Kitava there you jump into Act 6 and you will start to notice a lot more league mechanics that will start to show up, breaches I think they're called. So that's really one that, you know, you've got like a couple rare mobs in there, a couple of them are very annoying, very tanky. It takes you a lot longer to go through all of that, and with all the AoE and all of the damage stuff that happens around there, yeah, you gotta be a little bit more on your toes. There's also delirium stuff that starts to show up, which is pretty annoying because, well, the deeper you go into the map, the tougher everything becomes. And, well, with the minion build, you may feel a little bit overconfident. Just keep rushing, just keep summoning skeletons, pop down your totem when there's a little bit more on the field, and it will push through up to a certain point, and then all of a sudden a bad rare can really smash you to bits in next to no time. Now at this point, 6 hours in, still no deaths. I'm pretty happy with that. I have been focusing my passives since Act 5, basically a little bit more on the fence, getting some extra life so that I can keep going, and I have Mind Over Matter as well, so only using one aura, and all of that mana helps me to tank damage, but the experience is still pretty good. And then for Act 6, I think the most efficient is to first clean everything up, and then actually push through up until you get past the totem boss, I'm gonna call him. Not really sure what all the names are actually, but then you can port back to town, and then Lily actually gives you access to every single gem in the game. So this is really where at that point you sort of want to have some gear ready as well that's fully linked, so that you can get all of the support gems and everything. I'm not even at that point, honestly. My boots and my gloves still have to be upgraded to a 4 link, but I can then use my helmet, which is like a unique helmet that gives extra resistances, big bonuses to my minions, extra life, extra mana. Really, I think perfect for the build. And I'm now also using the mace that gives me an extra golem, so I can also summon the stone golem that gives me a nice passive regeneration of my life as well. So more tankiness, more defense. It's really starting to come together, and just in time, I have to say, because the Brine King, just like the Innocence fight, is another one that's pretty risky, and I think probably the most deadly for me personally. I think the biggest mistake that I've quite often made there is to not be risk capped yet again, and I think in Act 6 you get this jump where you have to do like another extra 15 or 30% or something like that to be cap rest, so you get a punishment. Basically you have to invest a little bit more into resistances, but with this Necromancer build and going for the first Ascendancy, giving you 30% extra, still pretty damn easy to do. The aura also helps, of course, just a little bit of gear and we are fine. But another one where I prepare by taking a risk, I do the laboratory before jumping in on the Brine King fight. So that's where I go for my second Ascendancy. Going this way for me, having chosen the first Ascendancy to be the aura one, you can't get that nice defensive bone armor, I think it's called. So it's just basically a big upgrade to the damage of my minions, of my army, but that helps as well, of course. If you can keep the boss fights shorter, keep the phases shorter, that just means less risk, and overall it's been pretty good. That laboratory a little bit more annoying still. The way I do it is just take a right and keep right until you find the trials. Do all 3 of them. And try to avoid traps. That's basically the real danger there. You don't have to be too afraid of his big skeleton things. There's one of them that does like a reflect that can be very annoying. You're using minions, you don't have anything really that you're doing in damage yourself, so no need to worry about that reflect. I managed to go through that, I'd say decently comfortably. I was on edge, right, during the final fight there, I did have to be a little bit careful, but overall I feel like, again, my army just buys me enough time, both by taking some damage and really dishes enough damage that it's fast enough. And then of course with the Ascendancy, I think they get like another 30% damage, 40% damage, I think, extra movement speed, attack speed, all that good stuff. And of course now I'm open for 2 more Ascendancy that are really either a defensive one with the bone armor ability or another offensive one with +2 to all minion gems. And you can see my army, of course. I'm pretty sure that you can imagine that that's going to be a big boost to absolutely everything that I'm running with. So definitely looking forward to that as well. I managed to do the Brine King in these 2 hours, and then we made our way into Act 7 it is, and there I'm basically early on, just doing a couple of the early quests, getting through the first few maps, getting all the waypoints, and getting ready for trying to push through this one, because honestly Act 7 I think is one of my least favorite ones, although the very end is is okay with the Arakali fight with the big spider, but here it is definitely also the part for me where the game slows down a little bit, and I have to, really motivate myself to keep going. You also have so much more stuff that drops from all of those league mechanics. Gear starts to be a little bit better, so way more trips back to town, having to manage your inventory, all of that stuff really starts to come into play here, and that's really the big take. After those first 4 hours in hours 5 and 6, you get the game really shows what it's all about, shows its complexity, harder boss encounters, more league mechanics, more loot, more stuff to manage, more stuff to figure out, and this is also, I think, where quite often you'll come up against that wall of you need a certain amount of knowledge to be able to build your character, to get through all of that and to comfortably get to this point. And again, this is the reason why I'm making these videos. I feel like with a minion build, a necromancer, you get one of the easiest ways of basically experiencing that and getting that experience. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.